What is your "but I am the manager" story? This happens to me all the time. Actually, I'm an attorney. But I'm pretty young and I look like I'm about 17 years old. When I talk to other lawyers I work with on stuff or against, I constantly get stuff like, "We'll wait until we hear from your legal counsel to respond." And then I gently remind them that, hey, I am that legal counsel. Giving an interview for a restaurant job. The guy has a ton of experience and seems like he's more than capable of it. Only thing is, he's a job hopper. Worked at something like 10 other restaurants in town in the last year and a half. I asked him about it. Why he was in and out of all these places. And he says, "Oh, I keep getting into conflicts with people. I really just am not good with rules. I prefer to do things my own way. I never get along with management. So, in case the fact that I'm interviewing you didn't give it away, I am the manager here." He lost all color in his face and thanked me for my time. I'd rather do things my way than have a job. Not really a good way to go through life. If his way is genuinely better, then he should be able to persuade his manager to at least consider it. I was working as an inventory manager at a large chain. 2 people had called in. And we were so short-handed that I was getting sweaty helping to unload a truck. I got a call that a customer wanted to speak to a manager. So I quickly pinned on my name tag, "We don't wear one while moving boxes because snags and ripped shirts," and went out to the floor. I greet the customer and ask her how I can help. She eyes me skeptically. I'm flushed and sweaty and dusty. Not looking very managerial. She points to my name tag and says, "That says supervisor. Is there an actual manager here?" I look down. Oops. Old name tag. I say, "Excuse me. One moment. Please." I go in back and put on my manager name tag. Take a second to tidy myself up. Walk back out with a big smile. Just got promoted. How can I help you today? Not exactly the same. But I saw an argument in my university once. An undergrad was so sure of his position that he referenced a book he had to prove his point. The person he was arguing with wrote the book. It was above efficient airfoils in an aerodynamics class. On the other spectrum, my boss a few years ago would ask the secretary to do something. And one time, she was like, "Nah, we won't be doing that." And he was all like, "But," I thought I was the boss. And walked away with his head down. Working night shifts at a gas station. My co-worker's sister came into the store trying to buy cigarettes without an ID. I didn't say anything about it. He rejected the sale just cause he could. Using the excuse the manager may chew my ass out. She responded with something along the lines of, "How would he know?" I chime in coolly with, "I'm the manager." Friend told me this story in college. He worked at Walmart but was a stalker. For some reason he had to cover a break at customer service. A lady brings in an old TV. So old it never came with a remote. It had knobs. Was wanting to return it for a refund. He kindly explained to the lady that he could not take this TV for a refund or even store credit as it was obviously too old. The customer got upset and demanded to speak to the manager. So he called over the manager and explained the situation. The manager looked over the situation and agreed with him. They were not going to take this ancient TV for a return. The customer then decided that still wasn't good enough and started demanding to speak to Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. Manager explained that was simply not possible. Customer started escalating the situation, demanding to speak with Sam Walton. Manager then looks at the lady and says, "We have a wide variety of shovels in the lawn and garden department. If you'd like to purchase one so you can go dig him up." Along the same lines, I was at my first trade show for a product I invented. It hit the market in February. And the trade show was the 26th of February. A guy came to our booth and cocky told us that he'd seen our product before and he didn't like tea made in China. I literally laughed in his face. I said, "I invented it. I make it in the US and it's only been available for 2 weeks. Full stop. He just looked at me suspiciously and walked away. Years ago when I was in the Marines, 2002 or 2003, out in 29 Palms. I was then on duty managing the younger Marines in the platoon doing after hours work. We also had visiting some civilians from headquarters Marine Corps, who were doing some field test on the new howitzers. One of my junior Marines, a big corn-fed Kentuckian, was under one of the old howitzer and starts bitching about if I could met the asshole who designed this bullshit. One of the civilians overheard this and asked if he could steal my guy away for a minute, in which I obliged. As soon as the junior Marine walked over, the civilian stuck out his hand and introduced himself. Junior Marine brought all his pleasantries, and then the civilian said, "Nice to meet you." To make a long story short, we can't do a return for bag of rice you bought years ago. My favorite is a common one. I am the youngest in my store by 30 plus years. Customer asks about price of product, says "Are you sure?" and walks off. Usually 5 minutes later I will see them talking to a co-worker asking about price and co-worker yells, "Diabetes, can you check price on?" I walk over smiling and just say the same price I said before, seeing the look of shame that they didn't trust me cause I am a young shitty. Not a manager, but a supervisor in a fast food joint. Her worker didn't know that apparently, and asked me to keep my mouth shut as he tried to take a meal without paying for it. Sure thing. Writes them up without saying a word. I used to own a store. One day I'm at the register, watching TV when a woman comes up and asks for a refund. My policy was no refunds unless defective or something like that. She wanted to return a $200 item for her cash back. Told her sorry, but I won't be able to make a return and told her why. She got all huffy puffy and said, "Listen, I know the owner of this store. Do not make me call him." I gave her his new number, which was just mine, and made an apologetic gesture, telling her he'd tell her the same thing. She actually called the number. I pick up on my cell and tell her that we don't make refunds unless the product is defective. She looks at me with wide eyes and I tell her, "Mom, I am the owner. I opened this shop a couple years ago." She walks out muttering about reporting me to Yelp. I own a coffee shop. One time a lady came through and wanted to order a latte with a bunch of add-on ingredients, which all cost extra, because it costs us extra. When I told her this, she thought the idea was preposterous that double flavor, extra espresso, soy milk, etc. would cost extra, and demanded to speak with the manager. So, of course I say I can actually have her speak to the owner. Stuck my hand out and introduced myself and let her know I owned the place. She lost her shit, but still comes back every day to do the same thing over and over to all of my employees. They're all aware of her issues and just tell her if she doesn't like our coffee and prices that she should go somewhere else. But she just keeps coming back. You should put a special coffee on the menu just for her. Especially if you know her name. The Sarah Special $X. Working the night shift at a small seafood restaurant. There was just 2 of us and I was the manager. For reference, I'm only 18, so it catches people off guard. I was cooking an order for some lady who walked in when she started questioning why I was qualified to be cooking her food. I am trained and certified, so I was not happy. She started to demand to speak to the manager, so I came out and told her I was. I had some junior staff who were constantly going to the accounting manager when they didn't like the answer they got from me, HR director, so I pulled them into a meeting and explained that such unprofessional behavior would not be tolerated and could lead to dismissal. Near the end of my time at Boston Market and I'm pretty checked out. Some woman, on her phone, no less, kept asking me if we sell soup. I kept repeating yes, while trying to service the regulars. She asks where they were and what kind. So I say, "See that sign where it says soups?" Then she demands to speak to someone in charge. I walk out back, return and ask what the issue was. I witness an awesome one. One of the cashiers was pushing carts of returns to their aisles when she overheard a customer loudly saying derogatory words ranging from average curse words to ones about certain races. She politely asked them to stop. They then started screaming at her for no reason, saying that this isn't a store and that they can do what they want. The whole freedom of speech crap. What the guy didn't notice was that the main manager of the night was right behind him. The customer turned around to see a 6-foot ex-marine forcefully say that it may not be her store, but this is my store and you need to leave now. Needless to say, the customer sprinted out the store. Well, one time we didn't have the specific yogurt flavor a customer, grown man, wanted. And he proceeded to rampage around the store while yelling for the manager. Like, okay, I'll just go whip up a mix that we haven't carried in months. Even though we don't make the yogurts here. I had started a computer science club at the community college I went to before transferring. I had been asking around for permission to get supplies from the IT for various projects. I go the guy that typically help people in the computer lab and go, "Hey, I'm here for the computer science club." And he cuts me off and points at the sign I put up right outside the lab the day before. The sign up sheet's outside the door. It's run by a student, not the department. I wave and go, "Hi. I'm the student running it. I wanted a monitor and stuff for a Raspberry Pi." And conclusion. He was like, "Oh. Well, write a ticket. We can't just give you hardware." Man. This anticipation is killing me. Basically every time a customer complained in retail, I told them I was the manager. I wasn't the F-king manager. But the manager was a dude and gave no FCKS about this. There's two kinds of managers in retail. People that recognize the customer is always wrong. And dickheads.